Avenue was all Jewish merchants. That's where my Uncle Moish, he had his haberdashery store. My Uncle Moish had his haberdashery store there. Okay. Where else? So I'm trying to think of some of the celebrities I've known from South Philadelphia. Not mentioning the gangsters that my dad knew.
You just did.
My dad knew, I think the main boss of Philadelphia was Angelo Bruno, who got assassinated near his house. There was a lot of, the mob was really big in Philadelphia. And when Angelo Bruno was assassinated, Nicky Scarfo took over, okay? And then Nicky Scarfo spent the rest of his life in jail. And while he was in jail, Skinny Joey Merlino was the boss. He was the street boss who became the big boss over there. He had a group called the Turks. And the older mafia leaders didn't like him at all. They didn't like these young kids coming up because they had new ideas. And but Joey got in trouble, and he was indicted for racketeering, and he went to jail for like how many years? 5, 6 years. While he was in jail, he lost his street credit. He lost being a boss, and some other guy took it over. I know who he is. I know who the guy is.
That's why Jack never got made.
He
lost
was
his street
a
credit.
friend of Joey Molino. Mike Lanceretti, I think. Mike Lanceretti, who was a friend of Skinny Joe, and he took over the mob, which he still has the mob today.
First of all, Jack, you fruity big mouth. There is no such thing as the mafia. And hypothetically, if there were a mafia, the Black Hand would have nothing to do with a Nancy like you, dude. Vito Lee.
And Bergese, another guy named Bergese. They control all south of Philadelphia, maybe all Philadelphia, and Atlantic City.
Shame on you, Jack. Shame on you.
They control Atlantic City, too. The mob from Philly also controls Atlantic City. Okay. But they're under a real low profile now, right? They're under this really low profile. They don't want to be, because they infiltrated other gangs, like the black gangs with the drugs,
Smart.
distribute drugs, the cartels. In other words, they get a cut out of all these other crime syndicates. So the mafia isn't the top crime, what they call it. They're not the top crime, what do they call that? I forget what they call it. Families. There's 5 families, and the 5 main families of the Cosa Nostra. Mafia, as they don't be called the mafia anymore, okay? They want to be called legitimate businessmen, but they're still involved in...
Notice how much of a racist Jack is? They, them, the blacks, the Jews, the Italians. You like to put everybody in a box, don't you? You fruity bastard.
The unions, okay, and mostly drug dealing
False.
unions.
False.
And
All lies.
the service businesses, like waiters, bartenders, and the people that handle, like Atlantic City, the people that handle like towels, that set up the hotels, the maintenance in the hotels, and also some of the construction companies are still under mafia control. Not mafia control.
What fucking dope.
Originated. you know, they became legitimate businesses. But
Jack, if you're going to risk your life discussing the black hand, so to speak, you might as well get it right, dude. Be accurate about it. How dare you, Jack?
But some of the bosses that were in the mafia control some of it. And basically, out of Philadelphia, you have this just one guy who controls Atlantic City, and he controls Philadelphia, but not like it used to be, okay? They have other gangs they're affiliated with now, and they get a lot of the cartel and the black mafia, okay? Along with the Russian mafia, there's so many crime syndicates you wouldn't believe. Even our own government involved in a lot of it. They want to break all that stuff up. But behind the scenes, like the unions and a lot of these controlling companies are still controlled, get a cut. They still get a cut out of it. Believe it or not, when it comes to the politicians, there's crime families in the politicians. Like the Biden family, believe it or not, a lot of people always wanted to investigate the Biden family, the Joe Biden family. They're involved in a lot of underhanded deals.
Wow.
The whole family is. That's why.
Jack is a fucking snitch, dude. He's dropping a dime on everybody. Jack, I know you're not crazy about it, but you have some balls, my friend. I gotta give you that. You got some balls and a nice set of tits.
When he left office, he pardoned his whole family. Why would he pardon his whole family if they weren't involved in anything? But they are in the higher echelon of crime syndicate. Okay.